Hey everyone, welcome to my guide on Ankus. Before we start, just letting you know that I post all my Slayer guides in the description so you can quickly hop to the next monster once you've finished your Slayer task. So Ankus are very simple monsters. It has no requirements, only uses melee, and it's weak to the Salve Amulet. There's 4 Salve Amulet variants, and I made a chart breaking down each amulet's requirements, the multipliers it gets, as well as some important notes of how the amulet works. Since the amulet doesn't stack with the Slayer helmet, if you can only pick one, it's generally better to wear the Salve Amulet EI over the Slayer helmet imbued. Also, since you're able to get an infinite amount of Salve Amulet E's after some pretty easy quests, it's very popular for fighting undead monsters in the wilderness with melee setups. So like I mentioned previously, they only use melee, so Protect Melee negates their damage, or you can wear High Crush Defense to lower its accuracy, which I'd only recommend at single combat locations. Before we move on to the next section, pick your location, withdraw a cannon into your inventory if your location allows it, and you can adjust your rune light settings now. Now let's move on to armor setups. We'll start with magic because if you're bursting in the catacombs, you can get very good DPS. The first two are burst setups at different price points, using burst weapons, then filling the rest with magic damage gear. You can also use a non-bursting setup at single combat locations, getting the best weapon possible, then filling the rest with magic damage and prayer gear. So here's a rank list of all the magic items you can use. Pick your weapon, then fill the rest with magic damage gear first, then prayer gear. Now let's go over range setups, and I created 3 setups at different price points. You can use a Venator bow at the catacombs to get very high DPS, or you can use weapons like the blowpipe or rune knives at single combat locations to get pretty good DPS rates. So here is a rank list of all the ranged items you can use. Pick your weapon, then fill the rest with range strength first, then prayer gear. Now let's go over melee setups, and I created 3 setups at different price points. You can use the scythe at the catacombs for very high DPS, or you can use any single combat weapon of your choice. You can use a high strength setup or a strength and prayer hybrid with protect melee, or you can opt for a crush defense setup and use food instead. You can use things like Guthans or the Sarah Godsword to dramatically reduce the food cost. So here is a rank list of all the melee items you can use. Pick your weapon, then fill the rest with strength gear first, then prayer gear. Now let's go over wilderness setups, and I highly recommend reading the notes below to prepare yourself for PKers. I created a magic bursting setup, a range setup, and a melee setup. All 3 setups focus on 3 valuables, then the rest a mixture of welfare and prayer items. Each setup risks a few 100k in armor and a couple 100k in supplies, but you can lower the risk by not using wilderness weapons or bring less potions and ammo and do multiple trips. So here's a rank list of all the magic items you can use. Focus on 3 valuables first, then fill the rest with welfare. For spells, don't bring more than a few 100 casts. For wilderness weapons, don't fill it with more than 1500 ether. And here is a rank list of all the ranged items you can use. Focus on 3 valuables, then the rest welfare. For arrows, don't bring more than 300. For knives or darts, don't bring more than 500. For wilderness weapons, don't fill it with more than 1500 ether. And here is a rank list of all the melee items you can use. Focus on 3 valuables, then the rest welfare. For wilderness weapons, don't fill it with more than 1500 ether. All of these gear setups come straight from the NoBS OSRS calculator, the ultimate tool for Slayer. Test out different gear setups and see outputs like DPS, resource estimates, and task times in real time. You can easily see what untradables you can bring for a Slayer task. I created thousands of custom teleport maps for easy navigation to any monster, and things like attack mechanics, location requirements, gear recommendations, all condensed down into as few words as possible. If you're interested in trying it out, click the link in the description box below to find out more. We're now going over each location. Feel free to use the timestamps in the video player to skip to your desired location. For the Catacombs of Kourend, one of the fastest teleports is by using the Kourend Castle teleport. You can also use a Xerix talisman to teleport to Xerix Heart. You can also use a minecart to Hortal, or you can use the Carrots, Memoirs, or Book of the Dead to the lunch by the Lancaliums. Once inside, you want to go this way and take the 17 agility shortcut to get to the Ankus. So here are some example inventory setups. Anything in yellow is an optional item you can bring. And here is how I would set up my quick prayers, and feel free to adjust them to your preference. So here is the in-game example for the Catacombs of Kourend. Let's investigate the statue to climb down, then run south. You can turn on your quick prayers and run southwest. Then use the agility shortcut. So there's not much to it. Drink your stat boosting potions, have auto retaliate on, and watch your prayer points for when they get low. If you're bursting with magic, just run around the room a bit to get multiple aggressive onto you. Now let's go over the Stronghold of Security. The fastest teleport is using a Skull Scepter teleport. You can also use the grouping teleport to Soul Wars. You can also use any Amulet of Glory to teleport to Edgeville, or you can use a Draenor Manor teleport. Once you go in, take the portals near the entrances until you get to level 4, then you want to pass the doors and use the Northeast Ankou room. So here are some example inventory setups. Anything in yellow is an optional item you can bring. And here is how I would set up my quick prayers, and feel free to adjust them to your preference. So here is the in-game example for the Stronghold of Security. Just follow my lead, and all I am doing is using the portals near the entrance, then climbing down deeper until I reach level 4. Once you get to level 4, we want to head northeast. Just spam click the doors to get through. Before going in, you can turn on your quick prayers, then drop your cannon down anywhere in the middle of the room. Then drink your stat boosting potions, turn on auto retaliate, flick the cannon so it's firing, and just watch your health and prayer points for when they get low. Now let's go over the Stronghold Slayer Cave. The fastest way to get there is by using a Slayer Ring teleport. You can also use a Spirit Tree to the Gnome Stronghold. You can also use a Necklace of Passage to the Outpost. You can also use a Gnome Glider or a Royal Seed Pod and running out the tree. Once you enter the cave, you want to run east all the way until you get to the Ankou room. So here are some example inventory setups. Anything in yellow is an optional item you can bring. And here is how I would set up my quick prayers, and feel free to adjust them to your preference. So here is the in-game example for the Stronghold Slayer Cave. Let's head directly east. So you can turn on your quick prayers, but go ahead and drop your cannon down anywhere in the middle. Then drink your stat boosting potions, turn on auto retaliate, flick the cannon so it's firing, and just watch your health and prayer points for when they get low. Now let's go over the Wilderness Slayer Cave. There are 2 entrances, but the best one is the 18 Wilderness one. One of the best teleports is using a Wilderness Obelisk if you have the Hard Diary completed. You can also use a Game's Necklace to Corporeal Beast and exit the cave. You can also use a Burning Amulet to the Chaos Temple. You can also use a Ring of Dueling to the Ferox Enclave, or you could use the grouping teleport to either Last Man Standing or Clan Wars. Once inside, you want to run a little bit northwest to get to the Ankous. So here are some example inventory setups. Anything in yellow is an optional item you can bring. And here is how I would set up my quick prayers, and feel free to adjust them to your preference. So here is the in-game example for the Wilderness Slayer Cave. I highly recommend turning on player indicators on Runelight and having highlight others enabled so you can see if there are any PKers on your minimap. Let's go in and run northwest. Manually turn on protect melee and any stat boosting prayer, then drop down your cannon. Then drink your stat boosting potions, turn on auto retaliate, flick the cannon so it's firing, and just watch your health and prayer points for when they get low. Hover your mouse over your one-click teleport, and if you see any red text on your minimap, immediately teleport out. And that's everything. If you found the video helpful, please leave it a like and subscribe to the channel. And if you have any questions or suggestions, leave it in the comment box below. Thanks for watching.